this Healthcare CSR Changemakers Summit conducted by HEAL Foundation. I am Misha Dange. I'm the founder of Optimaze. We do skill development and employment generation program for the youth. So far, we have touched upon more than a lakh of youth lives by making them employable in different states. So here we have very interesting panel. We have Dr. Rajvi, who is senior coordinator at SEWA. We have Dr. Sampa Banerjee from WASMI. We have Dr. Anita Sabarwal, who is president of Forum of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of South Delhi. We have Dr. Sonia Lal Gupta, who is director with Metro Group of Hospitals. We have Ms. Medha Gandhi, who is founder and principal consultant with Counterpoint Impact Advisory. We have Dr. Smita Singh, who is head of industry division of Yamuna Authority. So having such distinguished guests, I'm sure you would all like to know about their life journey, how they really have made, because they're all achieved a lot in their lives. And before we start the journey, I just want to add that women in leadership is like, we all know that they are really going places. There's nothing left from astrology to astronomy where they haven't made their mark. And if we talk about, we generally say that it's not only their diverse perspective, problem-solving areas, or innovative approach that we count on them. It's also the high EQ we really bend on, which is really, really essential part and ingredient of any social programs. I think in earlier forums we were discussing that it's very important, not only as a society but also as an individual, that we should be giving, we should be caring for the people, for the environment in which we are living. So CSR also is a natural tendency towards it, where we want to incorporate if we are having some privileged professional lives or some industrial forums. I would just like to add, to lead, you must first listen with an understanding heart and then act with a decisive mind. And if you have the combination of both, which we have, I think all of us, with the ladies sitting over here, so I don't think so there is anything which can stop us from achieving our goals and also simultaneously contributing towards the society. So to start with, I would like to start with you, Dr. Rajvi. I think except for one or two, everybody else is doctor over here. Me and Medha, we are the only one who are non-doctors. Oh, okay, not an issue, but still we have done our research, right? So, Dr. Rajvi, if I know, SEWA is one of the biggest organizations which is doing a lot of work, and they currently employ more than 2.9 million workers in 18 states, and which has been very, very instrumental in doing a lot of grassroots root level for the community. So I just want to know that what exactly is the type of work which is connecting you with the healthcare issues at the community level, and what are the challenges, if any, you have faced so far, and also if you can give us some example that how you have implemented, that would be really helpful for all of us.
To begin with, in order to deal with the community, the key to have is the trust base. So if the community trusts you, they'll be open, they'll be vocal and approach you to ensure that any given healthcare intervention at SEWA basically has 4 key pillars. One of them is the cadre of healthcare ambassadors that we have. So they are representatives from the community who interact with us and bring out the problems that they are facing. And they receive education, awareness, capacity building, trainings from the cadre of in-house doctors that sit at the office. So they are trained on various topics which include climate change, non-communicable diseases, and in non-communicable diseases they will be equipped with point-of-care devices, so that the major problem that grassroots communities face about accessibility and affordability gets addressed there and there itself. Then they'll be any given topic which includes routine immunization, exclusive breastfeeding. So with women as center, the whole family is considered as a unit, and then these SHAs, who we call the Seva Healthcare Ambassadors, will go address them, will talk to them, address the hesitancy, address the knowledge gap, and act as a bridge. The second pillar we have is the data integrated approach. So we have equipped them with an application which helps record all the basic parameters, which include their blood pressure, height, weight, their basic chief complaints, and their random blood glucose. Because they have those point of care testing devices, they can approach those members. That data comes to us on a regular basis. We analyze them, and then it leads to sequential tracking. Another key component of this program, when we club data and SHAs, is the regular follow-up. So in order to ensure adherence to the treatment, the key is regular follow-up. Because after a while we have observed that women, they keep others as their top priorities because of their intrinsic caregiving nature, and their health often takes a backseat. Hence regular follow-ups are mandatory. The third and the most important pillar is the holistic and the integrated approach. That it is not only health, but there are various determinants that might impact their health. Point one being livelihood. Or health is their asset. So if any given day they are not able to go work, it will directly impact their livelihood. They don't have enough savings to spend on healthcare. So if they have to spend out of pocket, that will push them into the vicious cycle of medical bankruptcy. Hence the need to have the holistic approach, wherein it is not only health but their livelihoods, education, food security, income security, and clothing and housing gets involved. So these are the key focuses with which Seva addresses any given intervention, any given health intervention that we have.
Can you also tell us some example where you have focused on women healthcare specific, maybe to their hygiene issues or stuff like that with any community?
Yes. So women's hygiene, women's nutrition, these are the key topics, key public health issues that are prevalent in the community. But when we have focus group discussions with them, they often highlight that there's a taboo, there's a hesitancy. They don't want to open up and talk to us about it. So in order to address that, we have had several training sessions, education, awareness, capacity building, wherein we sit with them, talk to them if required one-on-one, and have topics covered like menstrual hygiene, the wash habits, the nutrition requirement, which are age specific. And as I said, that with climate change being an additional burden to them is causing a disproportionate impact. So going down the lane, Seva plans to focus more on tampons, which will address their hygiene issue as well. But the key barrier to that is accessibility and affordability. Like most of the women who are in a hand-to-mouth situation cannot go and afford the upfront cost of a menstrual cup. So these are the small issues that we want to address.
Thank you, Dr. Radvi. That was very, very insightful to know about what you have been doing. Program at such an extensive level, because looking at the sheer size of the workers that you have, I'm sure you guys have really done a true work. So now to move to enterprises, SMEs, which means a lot. Nowadays everybody talks about SMEs, and I myself keep getting calls from a lot of women entrepreneurs who are talking about how do they get funding from SMEs and how they can set up their own entrepreneurships. But here we are talking about WASME, which is a very instrumental association in supporting small and medium enterprises. And Dr. Samba Banerjee, she is the executive director with them. So to start with, what makes you get associated with these CSR programs, especially in healthcare, and what you have been doing as an association, and where you have been talking about the benchmarks, so that SMEs are also inspired to do something, because generally they have constraints about the resources. We all know, that is the scale that they operate on. So please share your insight, Dr. Sampa.
Thank you very much. So, congratulations to all of us ladies. So we are a leading MSME organization. Let me give an intro of our organization, then I'll come to your question. So we have members, associates, and offices in more than 112 countries of the world. So we are dealing with different MSMEs, different SMEs. But now means post-COVID, we have started focusing on health. MSMEs dealing with healthcare activities, health instruments, health technology. So now I'm coming to your question, how we are dealing with this like in a CSR. Okay. So of course, I mean CSR has a focus, and every year they have their own subject, own topic, and with a fixed decided amount, they give it to the NGOs. So WASME being an NGO, of course, we have that leverage to avail the fund, but it's not adequate, I must say, because when we are saying MSME, and MSME is, I mean, in any country, 40% of the MSMEs contributes in their economy, 40%. So it's huge, and we cannot, it's quite a lot, and we cannot, depend only on CSR activities. So we do have different strategies of, raising fund. That's a different segment, but of course we are getting CSR fund, and through different CSR activities, not only in India, we do have approaches, connects in different parts of the world. So through African Union, through UNESCO, through different united bodies, we get fund, and we help health MSMEs, prospective entrepreneurs to set up their units, and when specifically companies dealing with AI now. So this year we are focusing on AI technology. Then like big apex institutes like NABARD was our member, SIDBI was our member. Now this membership pattern has changed, but definitely we are the nodal agency of SIDBI. So anyone who is interested to set up their MSME, set up their unit in India, any part of India, please do connect us, please call us. We are there to help you. So there are different schemes through SIDBI. I'll not, it will take a lot of time if I go into all the detail, micro detail. So please search our website and SIDBI's website. You will get all the detail, and we are happy to, help you, support you, and of course through CSR activities we are doing a lot of activities, and MSME support, entrepreneurship support through different bank loan schemes.
Thank you, Dr. Sampa, for sharing all these useful tips, what SME is doing and how we can get funding also from SIDBI or through your organizations, and what all work you have done so far. That has been really very inspiring. Now let me come to Dr. Anita Sabharwal, who is President of Forum of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of South Delhi. And I think you are the person who is directly impacting the lives of women, right? So we would really like to know that what exactly are the pressing issues with women in today's scenario, and how you are dealing with it, and also how you are correlating it with CSR forums with other organizations or with other industrial bodies. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Misha ji, and also thank you to the HEAL Foundation for giving me the opportunity to be here amongst all of you on a very, very special day, because all of you and all of us, we all have mothers, the women, and who are our best teachers. So today happens to be Teachers' Day, so happy Teachers' Day to all. And as my friend just said, she made us all clap for the women, because women, your own mother, we all admire them. So I'll just say a few words for these women. When you all start walking with these women, so you walking with the dreamers, the believers, the courageous, the planners, the cheerful, the successful women, with their heads in the clouds and feet on the ground. And definitely their spirits would ignite fire amongst you if you really start walking with all these great women, and your world will be really much, much beautiful and wonderful. What it would be without them. So women are really, they have a very important part in any society. So, but it's very sad to know that, women are suffering from so many diseases which can be very easily be prevented. See, all of you sitting here, I don't know how many of you know about cervical cancer. Almost 1.5 lakh women are dying because of this in our country every year. Every 8 minutes, one woman is dying because of the cervical cancer. And most of the people don't even know what is cervical cancer. This is the mouth of the uterus. This is the mouth of that pious place from where we all have come out. That is called Bachedani, in general people know. So we don't take care of it. We can easily prevent it by giving vaccination to the girls right from the age of 9 years till the age of 20 years. If you give even one vaccine now, though we have to give 2, we can prevent so many of these deaths. This is what we are trying to do. I also represent the Federation of Obstetrical and Gynecological Societies of India. We are 45,000 members, 275 societies all over India. So we are doing a lot of public awareness. We are trying to give this kind of public awareness. What is cervical cancer? So if you just give, now WHO wants to eradicate it by the year 2030, but so much is happening here. So we all have to be together in this. Now you all are sitting here, we all should create lots of awareness and make all these girls take this vaccine, which is easily available. Government is also now coming up, maybe they'll put it in their curriculum, but till then at least we should promote it. We should help those who cannot afford it so that they can be prevented from this disease. Also we have screening for these people, as we just talked about the technology. So we have this cervical cancer screening by the pap smear test, which is very popular, and the HPV test, that is the human papilloma virus. Like COVID was so popular, we could eradicate it. So this virus also, HPV virus, also can be tested. So these 2 things if we really follow, so we will prevent all those deaths. The last part is treatment, but I'm here to tell you about the prevention, and then first before that awareness. And second thing I want to touch upon all of you is anemia. Are these women, are these teachers, our mothers, all our women, they are suffering from anemia. Almost 60 to 70% ladies are having anemia. We don't even know how much our hemoglobin should be. It should be 12 gram for all women. Although in pregnancy we say, okay, it should be 11 gram plus. But all those women, adult women, if their hemoglobin is even 11 gram, they are anemic. But we feel when they are very sick, when they'll have breathing problems, they will not be able to work at all. That is the time we label it as anemia and then take them to hospital and take treatment. So it's not that. Now our government is also doing Anemia Mukt Bharat, but it will become only then Mukt Bharat because if all of us work together and get rid of it. And we are all working on this anemia for the last more than 50 years. So many schemes are coming since 70s, but still we are all anemic. So if women are anemic, how are we going to progress? So these are the 2 things. So we at our level, we are really trying to give lot of public awareness throughout the country. Even cervical cancer screening we did for all CRPF women all over India. So which we are trying, but we have to continuously go on with this. So this is what I wanted to do.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sabharwal, for your insights. And basically all the issues which you have touched upon, whether it's cervical cancer or it's anemia, and which we all face in our daily lives. And if we are talking about how WHO has been eradicated polio, from India, maybe these things can also be eradicated by 2030, which can be SDG goals. And we can wholly... Yeah, please share.
This is very important because people hesitate to talk about it. That is menstrual hygiene. Menstrual hygiene also has a role to play in giving us cancers also.
Very important.
So menstrual hygiene, people don't even talk. and they say, oh, that man is there, our husband is there, don't talk in front of him, or father is there, don't talk in front of him. Why? Because we are a society, and all the men have also come from that same place, uterus. That is the most pious place, you know. So the menstrual hygiene, I always advise people, like, you know, they have to change their pads. People think we can save money on this, so why to change pads? So we don't bleed so much, why to change the pads? So they have to minimum change 4 to 5 times in a day, whether they have more bleeding or less bleeding or whatever. Then the last third day, fourth day, they have hardly very little bleeding. Then also they think, okay, we can manage with one pad. So if all these simple things, you know, they are inculcated in them, we will really have a real good life, and lot of morbidity and mortality will be prevented. Thank you.
Yes, I think that's very important, the awareness of all these hygiene things. And thankfully, in our society, we are having that awareness now. There has been this movie by the name of Sanitary Pad also. So I think we should be coming out of that enigma soon. So now, going in the same line, ultimate, what you call last mile delivery are the hospitals, right? Where we can check the deliverables, what exactly is happening, what is the efficacy of so-called CSR programs, which so many forums, industries, companies, they are implementing. So now I would like to ask Dr. Sonia Lal, who is from Metro, that now you are at the helm of affairs, you are on board with Metro, and which is such a prestigious brand. So what do you think is the main focus areas of CSR and how it has been impacting the patients? Because we all talk about it, but ultimately the patient is coming to you. So how you are actually implementing it and how it's affecting their lives?
Firstly, thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Such a privilege to be with such an esteemed panel. Thank you, HealthConnect, for thinking about me. So when it comes to, hospitals, of course, we are that end delivery point where people come in when they are sick. And whenever anybody thinks of hospital, they think, okay, if I'm sick, I will go in. And on the note that Dr. Sabharwal said, the only time people come in heavy are probably when they're coming to deliver a baby. Otherwise, usually they're not happy when they come into the hospital. So it's a place where empathy is, I think, key. And as a hospital, it's very important to provide that, because there's nothing compared to giving good patient care, and I think that's the most important. Now, coming from a family of cardiologists and me being a neurologist myself, preventive healthcare, I think, is extremely important, and that's where CSR comes in. Because of course, once somebody walks in, they're coming in with a heart attack or they're coming in with a stroke, we are doing what needs to be done to treat it. But how do we even prevent that from happening is important. And I think that's where hospitals can play a big role in bringing awareness as well as in screening. So as we know, we all, like we at Metro as well, we do a lot of health camps where, even when you're checking something as a random blood sugar, that is so small. Like one would say, what is a random blood sugar? They're just pricking and they're checking the sugar. But that can help us detect diabetes at a very quick level. Checking their blood pressure. People don't take these things seriously even now. And that's where I think the problem is. People think, okay, it's okay, I have blood pressure, I will exercise. But they have to understand, you have to exercise. But blood pressure and diabetes are two things you cannot play around with. They are our biggest risk factors for cardiovascular disease. Nowadays, when everybody is very scared after COVID, you keep on reading in the newspaper, this person suddenly collapsed and that person suddenly collapsed, and people come in so scared. What are we supposed to do? This person was running around, they were healthy, what is happening? I think key is you have to also look at your risk factors. Look at your family histories. Look at how you are eating. There's how you are exercising. What are your blood sugars? A lot of people don't even get their blood test done till they have a problem. And a lot of times I tell people, simple annual blood tests should be done after the age of 30 for Indians. I'm a big believer. We are Desi people. Our genes overtake us. Our food habits overtake us even more. The samosas and the puris and the halwas, we just can't help it. When we see it, we get to have it. That key little 2% of people who say we eat healthy, but majority of people who come in love their food and they love it. So I think hospitals, like we, of course, doing health camps, bringing awareness and detecting it early and then treating it. I think that is the key. And then spreading awareness on, yes, you have to get it treated. And now government has a lot of programs when it comes to medicines. And I think the other problem is, Misha, that people don't even know about these programs. We as healthcare providers don't know about these healthcare programs. And so it's, I think, very important that healthcare providers also get educated on how they can provide those facilities to their patients so that money is not an issue and at least they get good care. So I think that is extremely important. Another thing I wanted to touch upon, a topic very close to my heart, I'm a headache specialist now, so I specialize in that. So I see a lot of mental health issues, anxiety, depression. It is still so underrated. We talk about menstrual hygiene. I think when we talk about mental health, it again is that issue. People come to me not wanting to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist. That log kya kahenge, that tattoo. And I will just take 1 minute if you don't mind just explaining, right? So when we talk about diabetes, what is diabetes? High blood sugar, why does it happen? Simple terms, insulin. Somewhere your body is insulin is not regulating itself. That's why you're getting diabetes. Right? Blood pressure. Ideally, most people, your body should be regulating your blood pressure. आपका जो body है वो आपके blood pressure को control करना चाहिए. But बहुत लोगों में नहीं करता है. क्यों नहीं करता है? Again, a chemical issue. Now let's come to mental health disease, anxiety, depression. Why do we take that as a taboo? That is also a chemical issue. That is also a neurochemical issue that can be treated, that can be managed. Why do we take that in a negative context? We accept everybody with blood pressure, we accept everybody with diabetes, but we do not accept people with anxiety. Having anxiety is normal. If you don't have anxiety, there's a problem. I think there's, so we have to understand that, Exam देने जा रहे हो, anxiety होगी. Stage पे आ रहे हो, anxiety होगी. कुछ नया होने वाला anxiety होगी. कभी-कभी mood feel होगा. So these are normal phenomena your body undergoes. Happiness, sadness, jealousy. These are normal things. But when they get to a point where you cannot manage those emotions, you need to get help. And it's just a call out to everybody, please take help. There are so many online resources now available where if you're shy and if you're still taking it as a taboo, please reach out and it will make such a big difference, especially when it's coming to children. I think nowadays it's also extremely important. So I just wanted to kind of touch on these, some important things.
Thank you, Dr. Sonia. In fact, this is also a topic which is very close to my heart. So far, we are all talking about depressions, feeling low, lying low, hormonal issues, and they are all very hush-hush things. People don't come out in the open, and they are not so aware also whether to seek proper treatment, because this is, as you rightly said, neurological chemical issues which can be actually made right by having the right pills and proper medication. But still, so many of us, even the youth and even the old age population, they are not getting the help at the proper time. I think we should really take care. And also what you said is about the healthcare programs. They should also, there has to be certain awareness which needs to be generated even for doctors and hospitals to implement them, which is not there at the moment. So I'm moving now next to Medha, who has been a healthcare consultant, and she has worked with most reputed international organizations, NGOs, forums for I think more than quarter of a century, and she has worked well, that's not revealing your age. And you have worked very closely with health sector so far, and I believe you are very, very passionate about women productivity, gender causes. So Medha, can you just tell us about your programs, what you have been doing, and how it has been effective, and if any challenges you have come across in your journey so far? Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Misha. So yes, for almost 25 years, I've been working on an area which is called Sexual and Reproductive Health and Rights. And the reason why I'm using these words is because a lot of people get very uncomfortable, and the groups that I'm usually used to working with and engaging with, there it's very normal to use this language. But on purpose, I wanted to use the words here because it's a diverse audience. The panelists before me have already sort of alluded to the fact that we shy away from addressing a lot of these issues. Majority of my work has been in rural India, working on increasing access to contraceptive choices, strengthening respectful maternity care, working on increasing access to safe abortion services. All of these issues are so critical, and the groups that are working on this are Indian and international non-government organizations. In the morning I was hearing a session where we were talking about trust. We've got Seva here that has been working so extensively, and there's so many NGOs that work, and I think it's two different worlds. We don't know a lot about the NGOs. Like, I don't know a lot about what the corporate world does and the deliverables that you have. There's a vast world out there that's making a lot of changes, and in my 2.5 decades I have seen maternal mortality decline so significantly. I have seen infant mortality decline so significantly. What that means is now lesser women are dying in childbirth. No woman should need to die in childbirth. No child should die in infancy, right? But there are still so many deaths that happen, and if I go into morbidity, there's really no count of it. So what we truly need is a partnership, and I now work with so many smaller NGOs which are looking for CSR funding, but they really don't know where to go and how to get that fund. There are great programs that are there. The government runs a range of public health programs, but there are also a lot of education initiatives, to the point that, ma'am, you were making around SMEs. There are so many women self-help groups that exist that are doing such great work, but there's just no way for them to get that funding, to get that capital. These are all women-led initiatives which are doing great work. They have small units, whether they're making dals or they're making sanitary napkins, but there's nobody investing in them. You talked about health camps, right? But there's a world out there that is needing services. How does that linkage happen? So I think we need to be open and trusting, and we need to be more forthright and believe that there's good that's happening. And once that happens, we're able to bridge that gap and reach out to people who are actually working very hard to make a difference. And there's a whole sector there which you call NGOs, but that's an impact sector that is making a difference in people's lives at an individual, at a mass level. So I think this gap needs to be bridged, and I think more such conversations between the sectors need to happen. I'll pause there.
Thank you so much, Medha, for your insights. And yes, it's very much needed. We need that bridge. We need that linkage programs where NGOs and all these social workers, they know how to connect with the right bodies, how to avail of the CSR funds, whether it's from the PSUs or the corporates or industry bodies. I think that's very important, because people who are working at the ground level, grassroots level, they should be aware. Otherwise, what is the point of the entire exercise? So lastly, and but not the least, we are talking about the industries. Industries or working in the companies is not only about profits, but it's also about giving away to the society. So we have from Yamuna Authorities, Dr. Singh, who is going to discuss with us what Yamuna Authority is going to do or is doing for CSI initiatives, and how you have focused it on healthcare and women-centric issues. Dr. Singh.
सबको नमस्ते। पहली चीज़ तो आई एम नॉन डॉक्टर ऑफ कोर्स। हम लोग ईटा, गारा, खड़ंजा, आप लोगों ने ये सुना नहीं होगा, बिकॉज दिस इज़ अ मेडिकल फ्रेटर्निटी के स्पेशलिस्ट हैं यहाँ पे। पर एक चीज़ कहना चाहेंगे कि आई टुक ऑफ फ्रॉम डॉक्टर सबरवाल, आप बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं। मैम, आपकी बातें सुनी और आप तो हमारे एंड उसमें हैं। At the basic of all these activities, of all these discussions, is the single unit human being या human body की बात होती है। और शारीरिक के साथ साथ मानसिक अवस्था की बात भी आपने करी। अथॉरिटी के लेवल की बात तो हम अलग से करेंगे क्योंकि वो एक CSR और इंडस्ट्री रिलेटेड बातें होती हैं, बट पहली चीज़ क्या है, व्हाट आई वुड लाइक टू शेयर हियर, बेसिकली आई एम अ कैंसर सर्वाइवर और ये काफ़ी पहले की बात है, लेकिन आपको बता दें कि उस समय जब डॉक्टर ने ये बात कही थी तो पहली चीज़ तो आई ब्लैंक्ड आउट। फर्स्ट थिंग वॉज आई ब्लैंक्ड आउट इन स्पाइट ऑफ ऑल माई एजुकेशन और एवरीथिंग, ऑल माई एक्सपोजर। पहली चीज़ ये थी कि आई वॉज ब्लैंक, मुझे कुछ समझ में नहीं आया। तो इफ़ एन एक्सपोज पर्सन जो पढ़ाई लिखाई भी करके आ चुका है, उसको अगर ऐसा वर्ड यूज़ करा जाता है उसके सामने और वो क्लूलेस हो जाता है, सो यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि जो हमारे रूरल पार्ट के लोग हैं, जो हमारे नॉन एजुकेटेड हैं या नॉन एक्सपोज लोग हैं, उनके मानसिक स्तर पर या आपका फाइनेंशियल स्तर, हर चीज़ पे ही एक बहुत बड़ा झटका लगता है। हम CSR कर रहे हैं, इसके पहले वाला सेशन भी हमने सुना, उसमें वी हैड अ लॉट ऑफ मेडिकल एडवांसमेंट डिस्कशंस। हम बहुत आगे जा रहे हैं, लेकिन हम बहुत आगे जा रहे हैं, किसके लिए जा रहे हैं? द पर्सन, the basic unit of all what we are discussing here. So first we have to focus on the person. पहली चीज़ जो डॉक्टर साहब आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूँगी कि या जहाँ पे भी मेडिकल ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, हॉस्पिटल्स हैं, कि हम एक डायग्नोसिस या आपका जो भी मेडिकल रूम है उसके साथ साथ हर हॉस्पिटल में मैंने देखा है पूजा घर भी होता है, एक कामिंग रूम भी बनवा लिया जाए। और हमारे जो आपके सोशल वर्कर्स हैं, काउंसलर्स हैं, पहले हम उनको एजुकेट करें, क्योंकि डॉक्टर के पास पहुंचने के बाद जो लैंग्वेज बताई जाती है वो हमारे लिए जागोन है। फॉर अ कॉमन पेशेंट इट इज़ जस्ट मेडिकल जागोन। उसको नहीं समझ में आएगा कि उनके प्लेटलेट्स यहाँ से यहाँ पहुँचे, या ये वाले पैरामीटर्स ठीक नहीं है, ये यहाँ डिविएशन है, यहाँ वेरिएशन है, इसका इम्पैक्ट ये है। देयर हैज़ टू बी समबडी इन सपोर्ट जो डॉक्टर से डिस्कशन के बाद उस व्यक्ति को ये समझा सके, हाँ एक समस्या आई है, लेकिन we'll hold hands and get over with it. You need that softer, that calming part also in whatever facility you are providing. एक व्यक्ति ऐसा या एक ग्रुप ऑफ लोग ऐसे होने चाहिए। इवन काउंसलर्स को मैं आपको बताऊंगी डॉक्टर साहब, वो भी बहुत क्लिनिकल भाषा का इस्तेमाल करते हैं। ये है मैम, आपके लिए भी रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप इतना बड़ा काम कर रही हैं सेवा वाला, तो आपके जो काउंसलर्स हैं, पहली चीज़ तो ये बहुत ज़रूरी है, like if we start moving from Delhi to Eastern UP to you can say Bihar और Northeast states, वहाँ पर आप किसी काबिल व्यक्ति को काउंसलर बना के आप दे सकते हैं, but does he or she relates to the person, to the type of patient who's coming there? If it is an Eastern UP person or a Northeast person, a person उन्हीं की कम्युनिटी से, उन्हीं के साथी जो उनकी भाषा में उनको एक्सप्लेन कर सकते हैं। किसी को अगर ल्यूकीमिया की बात है तो डॉक्टर के साथ जो स्टाफ है उन्होंने बता दिया कि आपको ये समस्या है, इसके लिए कीमोथेरेपी होगी, रेडियोथेरेपी होगी, या जो भी थेरेपीज आप सजेस्ट करते हैं। देयर शुड बी अ पर्सन वो ये बताने का प्रयास करे उनको। पहली चीज़ तो उनको मेंटली काम आउट करे कि यस वी हैव एन इशू, वी विल डील विद इट, और इसका कीमोथेरेपी का मतलब ये होता है, रेडियोथेरेपी में ये किया जाता है। सिर्फ सिकाई वर्ड कह देने से नहीं समझ में आता है। So that is what I have been doing for the past 35 years, trying to make people just talking. I am not a doctor, I am not a specialist in anything, but I am just talking to people to making them understand कि yes, it is a human body, इसमें चीज़ें आ सकती हैं, जैसे विसंगतियाँ होती हैं वैसे हो जाती हैं और हम उससे बाहर निकल सकते हैं। So in that endeavor we have been working. We started with कैंसर पेशेंट्स, वी स्टार्टेड पेशेंट से ज़्यादा हम फैमिलीज़ को काउंसिल करते हैं, क्योंकि एक चीज़ और है, हमारे रूरल इंडिया में या जहाँ पर भी आप बात करते हैं वहाँ पर सिर्फ पेशेंट की बात होती है। पेशेंट के लिए तो डॉक्टर भी है, डॉक्टर का स्टाफ भी है, बट फॉर द फैमिली उनको समझ में ही नहीं आता कि उनके साथ क्या हो गया। देयर इज़ अ सोशल ऑस्ट्रेसाइजेशन ऑल्सो, एक आइसोलेशन का भी होता है। हर चीज़ को, हर बीमारी को, कैंसर जैसे शब्द को छुआ-छूत के उसमें भी पहुँचा जाते हैं, क्योंकि उनको ढंग से एजुकेशन नहीं होती है कि ये भी एक शारीरिक कष्ट है, वो निकला जाए। तो दैट इज़ वेयर वी नीड टू सी। हम CSR में बहुत फंड्स डाल रहे हैं हम बाकी चीज़ें भी हो रही, बहुत काम हो रहे हैं, बहुत अच्छा हो रहा है, बट हम पहले उस सिंगल यूनिट जो ह्यूमन है उस पर कॉन्सेंट्रेट कर सकें, हम उसको समझा सकें, हम उसको बता सकें। आधी लड़ाई तो हमारी मन से हारते और जीतते हैं। दैट इज़ हाउ द ब्रेन वर्क्स। इफ वी टेल आवर ब्रेन कि yes, we'll tide over with it. Like I remember I had a 2-month-old child. When I was told I have cancer. 2 महीने का बच्चा है, आपको ये नहीं समझ में आएगा कि आपकी ज़िंदगी शुरू हो रही है कि ख़त्म हो रही है। That is the thing. So for 2 minutes it went black, जैसे होता है ऐसा रिएक्शन होता है। After 2 minutes I said okay fine. Problem identified is half one. तो वहाँ पे वो बात, वहीं पर हम पिक्चर पे आते हैं कि हम ये अपने मन को समझा सके कि यस आई विल गेट ओवर। दैट इज़ वेयर द ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस कम इन पिक्चर। कि एक व्यक्ति तो वैसे ही वहाँ पे नेगेटिव उसमें पहुँच चुका है, उसकी फैमिली भी बहुत कष्ट में आ चुकी है। वी हैव टू ब्रिंग आउट ऑफ दैट इज। तो उस 2-3 चीज़ें, आई एम सॉरी, मतलब आई एम स्पीकिंग लॉट बिकॉज आई एम जस्ट स्पीकिंग फ्रॉम माई हार्ट, आई एम नॉट स्पेशलिस्ट, बट इन दैट एंडेवर आपने डॉक्टर साहब, आपने सैनिटरी नैपकिन्स की बात करी, आपने विमेन हाइजीन की बात करी। आई हैव बीन काउंसलिंग एंड टॉकिंग टू पीपल जहाँ पे उन्हें पैड का कॉन्सेप्ट पता ही नहीं है। वी आर गिविंग देम, वहाँ पे कंबल का प्रयोग होता है या बालू में जाके बैठने की बात होती है। कैन यू इमेजिन इन टुडेज वर्ल्ड जहाँ पे हम कितनी सारी बातें कर रहे हैं, बट आई एम वर्किंग विद पीपल जिनको ये कॉन्सेप्ट ही नहीं पता है। आप उनकी हाइजीन और उनकी फिजिकल कंडीशन का आप समझ सकते हैं। सो वी हैव बीन वर्किंग ऑन दैट, we have been supplying reusable, which we can wash and reuse because we know they don't have an access to having disposable sanitary napkins. एक और छोटा सा काम कर रहे हैं for the past 10-15 years. What I have been doing, I have seen women jails also. Very bad conditions. 60% of the women don't even know why they are there in the jail. और वो सालों लग जाते हैं उस केस को सेटल होने में। आप उनकी परिस्थिति समझ सकते हैं। They're away from the family. प्रॉपर चीज़ें नहीं मिल रही हैं। देयर व्हाट वी हैव बीन डूइंग इज वी हैव बीन इंस्टॉलिंग पैड डिस्पोजेबल मशीन्स एंड इंसिनेटर्स ऑल्सो। एक ये भी बड़ा सोशल स्टिग्मा भी आपने कहा है, जैसे कि आपको डिस्पोजल के एवेन्यूज़ नहीं मिलते हैं। यू सी ऑन द रोड, आप रोड साइड पे आप देखिए पूरा डस्टबिन या जो भी है ओवरफ्लो कर रहे हैं। द डॉग्स आर देयर, द कैटल इज देयर, दे आर। सो उसके लिए इंसिनेटर्स का कभी भी किसी को कहीं पर भी, किसी स्कूल में, किसी कॉलेज में, किसी जेल में, कहीं पर भी आपको कभी भी कुछ इंस्टॉल करवाना हो, आई एम देयर, माई नंबर इज़ देयर, प्लीज़। दिस इज़ व्हाट आई हैव बीन डूइंग ऑन अ पर्सनल लेवल, इंस्टॉलिंग बोथ दीज मशीन्स इन ऑल द गर्ल्स कॉलेजेस। दैट इज़ what we can do, I mean as a non-medical person. तो my only request is कि बहुत एडवांसमेंट में जाइए प्लीज़। आई मीन मेडिकल फील्ड इज़ एडवांसिंग लाइक एनीथिंग। हमें एट द क्लिक ऑफ अ बटन वी आर एबल टू नो किस कोई भी इशू है तो हम उसके लिए क्या क्या चीज़ें कर सकते हैं। बट वहाँ से पलट के हम जितना सिंप्लीफाई कर रहे हैं, पर ह्यूमन माइंड इज़ वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स, हमें उस पर पहले ध्यान देना चाहिए कि जो भी आ रहा है हमारे पास एक कामिंग रूम, मैम डॉक्टर साहब प्लीज़ ज़रूर रखिए, जिसमें सिर्फ बैठ के सुनना है। कुछ हम सोल्यूशन नहीं निकाल सकते, हम वो सोल्यूशंस, वो इलाज आप ही करेंगे, बट उनके मन को हम मन का इलाज कर सके, उनके कष्ट को कम कर सके। वी शुड ऑलवेज वर्क ऑन दैट। थैंक यू सो मच।
A, you are better than specialists and you're a human specialist, which is the real specialist. So kudos, I think, the amount of work. Oh, wrongly खड़े हो गए।
I think you are truly,
Genuine.
you deserve that round of applause
Beautiful.
from all of us.
Amazing.
Big clap for Smita ji. And we truly appreciate your story of bravery, being a cancer survivor, how you have fought through your life, and still you are contributing so much to the society. You are so thoughtful about what all need to be done. And the most important part is what you're talking about, the softer angle, that human touch. You know, because there are so many things, like if we are talking about cancer, the mere mentioning of the name, it brings you like your heart is sinking, and especially when you have to go through all these therapies, chemos, or so after that there has to be proper counseling to the patient, to the families, which is very important part, which you have really thought upon, and this has to be incorporated in most of the curriculum syllabus of CSR forums and all these, ma'am, like your Seva, what is doing, and even in the hospitals or MSMEs, you know, whatever, even you are being a consultant, Medha, I think you can also talk about it. But I think these are very, very valuable. So we don't have much time left for second round of questions. We are already running out of time. And here we have to sum it up. Thank you all, and I believe it's very inspiring